We've been making an exploration into form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. The question was asked, is it a paradox that has to be reconciled? Is it a conundrum or a puzzle that has to be taken apart and examined and put together again in a way that we can understand it? Is it a riddle that has to be solved? Remembering that it's been mooted, that every element of every story is a representation of an aspect of our self, our psyche, we might say. There's a story about an old widow who had an only son who was called Rashid. Now Rashid from an early age demonstrated that he had very fine qualities. He was very caring of his widowed mother. And at an early age, he was sent as an apprentice to become a herbalist. And he became very adept in this scientific art. People loved to come to him because not only did he make the potions that restored their well-being, but he was kind. Came to an age when Rashid was to be married, and his mother suggested to him that she should go to the matchmaker and find a suitable bride for him. But each maiden that was brought to Rashid was found to be not acceptable in his eyes. And he would say again and again to his mother, I will not marry any other maiden except an angel. Again and again, maidens thought to be suitable were brought to him, and each was rejected. But one day, just before the hour of prayer, there was a knock on their door. And when the old widow opened it, there on the threshold was the most beautiful being that she had ever seen. An aura of light was about her. She was radiant. The widow could hardly speak, and asked her, what is it you want? And the maiden, whose name was Peri Noor, which means fairy face or angel face, replied, I've come to see Rashid. So the widowed mother went in and brought Rashid to the door. Instantly he knew this was the angel that he'd been waiting for, and he fell immediately in love. Peri Noor was invited in and stayed with them, demonstrating the qualities that would make the most ideal of wives. She was caring and solicitous of the old mother. She undertook all of those tasks that were expected of the very finest of wives. She had a gentle, sweet nature. Her voice was mellifluous. And after some days, Rashid begged her on his knees, "Will you marry me?" Peri Noor said, "Yes, I will marry you under one condition, that you do not doubt or question anything that I do." Rashid said, "I'll do anything, anything. I'll agree to anything you say, just be my bride." And so the wedding took place. They were very happy. Peri Noor continued her gentle solicitousness as a wife and a carer of the old mother. And 1 year later, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. 3 weeks after the child was born, Peri Noor went up to the roof and threw the child down, so that the skull was cracked and she was killed. Rashid was horrified, but he remembered what he had vowed, that he would not doubt or question his beloved wife. So he kept his quiet. 1 year later, Peri Noor gave birth to a beautiful son. 13 weeks after the birth, when the family was sitting around the fire, Peri Noor suddenly took Rashid's beloved son. He had dandled him on his knee, petted him and loved him. She threw the child into the fire. Rashid rushed, but it was too late. His son was dead. Again he was horrified, shattered, bereft, but he kept his quiet, saying nothing to his wife, but mourning inside, questioning inside himself. 1 year later, Peri Noor gave birth to another daughter, a beautiful, beautiful girl. She was cared for lovingly, and Peri Noor continued the solicitousness that she'd shown to the family, being the ideal wife and mother. But 19 months after the birth, she took the child and drowned it in the well. Again, Rashid was bereft. He could not understand. He questioned, how could his loving wife do such? By this time, the old widow had grown old, and she was on her deathbed, being cared for by Peri Noor, lovingly and caringly. And then she died. And during the funeral, when the body enshrouded with the wailing neighbors and Rashid carrying the body off to be buried, Peri Noor went up to the roof and she began to laugh, laugh, laugh. Everyone was shocked and horrified, and Rashid was greatly embarrassed. How could she? It was the custom for everyone to weep and wail and beat their chests on such an occasion. After the funeral was over, Rashid could not help himself. He came back and said to Peri Noor, "Come, sit down. I have to speak with you." Peri Noor knew exactly what was going on with him, and she reminded him of his vow, and also that she had said if he questioned her, she would go forever. But Rashid could not help himself. He demanded to know why all his 3 children were killed. And she laughed at the death of his mother. Peri Noor related why the 3 children had been killed, and she also said, "Your mother, during her life, had lived a self-centered existence, hoarding her gold, hiding it in jars. The only alms and gift she had ever given was a white sheet to an old beggar who had come by the door." In that instant, Peri Noor disappeared, never to be seen again. Rashid was bereft. How could he have doubted and questioned his angel wife, Peri Noor? So the question that arises from this story is, what is it that Peri Noor represents for us? What aspect of ourselves comes to our door in answer to our prayers that cannot be doubted, cannot be questioned? What's the deep meaning of this story? And what relevance could it have to our exploration into form is emptiness, and emptiness is form?